I hope you are all doing well. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just doing another video that is all about how to prepare for starting university. So as we kind of come into the September, October months, people are starting to, embark upon their university journeys and, moving from home, moving from doing A-levels away to start university. So I thought I would just use this opportunity to put together a video that is all kind of about my top tips for preparing to start university. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. I do apologise if there's any sort of background noise because someone is cutting the grass and I'm right by the window, but hopefully it will be alright and I hope you find the video helpful. So the first thing I would say in terms of preparing to start university would be learn to cook something. And that could be anything, Do not go to university without knowing how to cook a simple meal. You will end up a little bit stuck, I think, if that is the situation you kind of put yourself in. I wasn't the worst cook and I did kind of know how to make a few basic meals, but I definitely probably should have known a few more, probably a few healthier meals that didn't, involve buying frozen chicken and having it with veg and rice. But yeah, I would kind of just say learn how to make your spag bowl, learn how to make your stir fries, your curries, what else do you make? Fajitas maybe, burgers, risottos, I don't know, whatever floats your boat, but learn how to make it. Obviously, learn how to make your favourite meals and definitely learn how to make a few others. Try and learn some quite quick and simple meals, so if you're in a rush, if you really can't be bothered, you've got a few meals that you can kind of turn to in that situation. But yeah, that's the one thing I would say you can definitely kind of invest your time in before you start, is just learning how to cook, basically. And it honestly just comes in so much handy. It comes in handy because when you're in Freshers Week and you feel really rough every morning when you wake up and you feel rough throughout the day and you get ill, hopefully, Freshers flu, not coronavirus this year, but if you're getting ill, just learning how to make a few really easy and really healthy meals that can be a kind of pick-me-up would definitely be something I would say is worth learning. For the first few nights of university, I think I just shared a frozen pizza every single night with one of the girls who also didn't really know how to cook anything. So I would, just learn to cook. So the second thing you're definitely going to be doing when you're preparing to start university is obviously going to be your packing and getting your stuff together and deciding what you're going to be taking with you. And this is a fairly big job when you're just starting out because you don't have any of your own kitchen stuff, your bedding. I mean, there's just so many things you need. You're basically starting your life from fresh. Obviously, sometimes you might have stuff at home, but for me, I didn't really have many kind of spares and stuff at home that I could take with me, so it was kind of a case of buying pretty much everything new, which was very expensive and very time consuming. So definitely take account for that, and anything that you can take from home rather than buying new, because things do tend to add up really, really quickly. But yeah, in terms of things that you should be bringing, I actually compiled a list on my Our Warwick blog of basically everything that I could think of that you would need to take, apart from the obvious kind of like clothes and food. I won't tell you what to take in terms of that. But yeah, so I made that list for my sister and her boyfriend, who are both heading off to university fairly shortly, actually, in a couple of weeks. So I put that list, like a checklist, together for them, so I kind of thought it would also be handy to share it on, my blog. So I might insert a couple of pictures in after this, but yeah, if you click on the link in the description thing below, I will leave the link to my blog if you would like to read that. Just a screenshot of the list, but I've written down all the things you need for your bedroom, your bathroom, any electrical kind of bits I've included as well, and stuff for your kitchen, and just other things you might forget, but you can find that on my blog that I have linked below. I've tried to include in that quite a few bits that you might forget, so I've kind of got it up in front of me. So we've got things like a door stop, so that's quite handy when you're initially starting off to keep your door open. Then people in your flat will be more likely to pop in and say hi. It's just a little bit more sociable. They do need to be the ones that go, what do you call them? The wedge ones that go under the door. Because they're all fire doors, I bought a lovely little cat door stop and did not pop the door open in the slightest. So yes, one of the wedge ones will keep it open, which is really, really handy. What else did I kind of pop down that might not be that obvious? Air freshener, because the rooms just tend to get a bit stuffy. I don't know what it is about first year, because I've never really had that problem since, but your room just gets a bit hot and stuffy, and if you eat any food in there, it just gets a little bit unpleasant. So, you know, your normal stuff to keep things smelling nice. Try not to do me and just leave loads of plates in your room, especially after nights out, because it just ends up absolutely stinking. One thing you definitely need would be an extension lead. This is so handy. You will have probably like a fair few plugs. You know, I lived in Roots and there was quite a few plug sockets, that's what we call them. But having an extension lead is super, super helpful, and it kind of means you can, if your plug's not near your bed, if the plug socket is not near your bed, it doesn't matter, you can still, you know, have your phone in bed sort of thing. Get an extension lead in short. And if you want to bring a printer, you don't need to. Obviously, there's plenty of printers on campus that you can just use, but if you wanted one in your room, it's quite handy. Some people in my first year did have them, and I just ended up using their printer, so it's actually quite helpful to have one. Bring a first aid kit. I'm just trying to like list out the less obvious things. The other thing I said was, obviously, well, I had to remind my sister of this because she doesn't actually drink, so she doesn't have a provisional license or ID, but I reminded her, if you even want to go out with your friends to like the pub or something, just, I mean, maybe post-corona times, then you're going to need your ID if they're ordering drinks, and even if you're not, so that's something to remember. Could be handy to have your passport on you as well. Also, have your national insurance number to hand, have your NHS number to hand. These just are generally really, really helpful if you're registering for a doctor, if you're trying to get a job, just the basic things. It's really, really helpful to have that information on you, so that if something does happen, you have all the information you need and you don't need to be like calling up your parents in the middle of the night trying to figure something out. One other thing would be slippers and sliders. I promise you, without a doubt, you are not going to be wanting to step on your kitchen floor, your hallways, anything barefooted, because it is disgusting. Particularly the kitchen, wouldn't really recommend it. You can probably just about get away with socks, but I would say definitely have some slippers and sliders you don't mind getting a little bit grim, because the kitchens might have food all over the floor sometimes, so definitely invest in something like that. Another thing you could do is bring a small suitcase with you, so if you want to pop home for the weekend, or if you want to go and visit your friend for a weekend, you have something that you can just kind of take with you rather than big suitcases and big bags. Copies of your CV could be helpful, whether that's, you know, printed out or on your laptop, getting kind of job related. Also, a trolley token is really helpful, so that you don't always have to have a pound coin on you, although at the moment I think a lot of supermarkets are doing so, you don't need it anyway because of coronavirus. So yeah, but trolley tokens are also really handy. So yeah, I would basically, that's kind of a really trying to tell you all the things that maybe you might not have thought you need, but the list is below as well. This is kind of similar to like needing your ID, passport, and any like documentation stuff. So you might want all your uni documentation, your accommodation contract, and another thing you might want to make sure you've got, which you may well already have from being at school, but student accounts, NUS cards, anything like that that's going to help you get some good discounts. And yeah, it's just always really handy to have some sort of student ID on you. You obviously get student ID when you start university as well, which are like NUS ones, so you can use that for discount, but just having something like that on you is really helpful. And then kind of leading on from that, you're probably, I mean, everyone that I know did set up a student account, so student bank account. I was with HSBC. They often have incentives for you to join the different banks when you're starting university. So for me, I think I got a like £70 Amazon voucher and Prime for the year. Yeah, I think I got free Prime in my first year and a £60 or £70 voucher on Amazon, which was fantastic. I bought so many nice like necessary things with that. But yeah, so most of them have incentives. Sometimes that is a rail card, which saves you a lot of money if you're going uni a little bit far from home, or you're going to be doing lots of travelling around the country. Then a rail card could be a really good one to have. Some of them do it so that you get a free rail card for 4 years, which is actually saving you about £120. So that's quite handy. And some of them at the moment I think are doing like taste cards. That's 2 for 1 on different meals in different restaurants. So yeah, look into the best deals. I don't actually think they're as good this year, in my opinion, because I was obviously looking for my sister, and some of them, I mean, you had the rail cards and you had the taste cards, but you didn't have any of the ones where they were basically just giving you money, which is what I would personally opt for. But yeah, have a look, find the best deal, and make sure you are coming prepared with a student account if that is what you feel. And overdraft wise, I got an overdraft, most people I know got an overdraft. If you are quite financially stable, you don't feel like you're going to need one, then maybe don't, because they are a little bit dangerous, because you do just feel like it's your money. Like now, even when I'm minus £800, but I have £200 available because I have a £1,000 overdraft, I think of that £200 as like the money that I have, but it's actually, it's not my money. But yeah, it's a little bit dangerous, but definitely very helpful. I would, you know, I think it's great to have kind of backup and a bit of a security net when it comes to money at university, because, you know, you're not used to probably dealing with that much money and having to kind of look after yourself financially like that. So yeah, an overdraft in that respect is a really good idea. So yeah, have that set up. Maybe start on something a little bit lower, 500 to £1,000. Maybe don't opt for the, I think you have to be past your first year anyway to get the £3,000 ones, but I would probably try not to. But you do have 2 years after you finish university, graduate, before you start paying interest on your overdraft. So it is basically, it's safe in that respect, because hopefully you would be in employment within 2 years of graduating, which would mean it would not be such a struggle to pay it back or pay interest on it, especially if you have opted for a slightly lower overdraft. But yeah, have that all sorted before you come to university. A little bit related to that is obviously money, budgeting and stuff like that. So I would say to prepare for university, it is really, really handy to have some sort of a budget planned out. I didn't do this, but it's probably quite a good idea to do it. At the very least, I think me and my dad kind of wrote out when the loan would be coming in, when accommodation payments were due and stuff like that. Just having it all written in one place is really handy, so you can kind of stay on top and track of things. But yeah, so if you can kind of plan out how much money you're going to be spending, how much money you're going to have coming in and out each month, then that could be really helpful, especially for the first few months when you're just getting settled. You will probably spend a lot more money in your first few weeks or your first months than you will throughout the rest of the year, because I mean, don't know what it's going to be like this year, but obviously you have freshers and you're buying a lot of new things. You're kind of, as I said, kind of starting all over, so it can be a lot more expensive. But having a budget of some sort is really helpful. Again, I didn't really do this, but if you are a little bit irresponsible with money like myself, then I would recommend drawing up some sort of budget or plan and trying to stick to it as much as you possibly can. The next thing you could do to prepare in terms of planning again is think about when you're, you know, if you are going to be wanting to go home or go back to where you were perhaps living before you were at university, then kind of have a plan set out for maybe the first time that you are going to go home. Now obviously you can just go and see when you feel like it, especially if you're a little bit closer, but one thing I was told before going to university, and I think is really true and really helpful, is to at all costs, if you can, obviously it depends on your home situation and everything, but try not to go home for the first 3 weeks to a month, because you kind of need that time to get settled. And you obviously, you know, you are going to feel homesick, probably. Most people do have homesick to some sort of degree, but it's really best just to kind of push through that and get used to living independently and being in your new environment without kind of shaking that back up and popping home for a little bit. Now, this is a little bit hypocritical of me, because I did go home after about 2.5 to 3 weeks, so almost good enough, but freshers just felt like a lifetime. I was very ill. I needed to just pop home, have a roast, have a Chinese takeaway that I was not paying for, and I literally just went home for 2 nights and then came back to uni. So obviously if you need to, you can, especially if you're a little bit closer. That was very long. That was like a 10-hour round trip in a couple of days for me, so probably not so smart. But if you're only a couple of hours away or a little bit closer, then there's obviously no harm in popping home, or if you want your parents or whoever is at home to come and visit you, maybe your friends, just for lunch or a dinner or something like that, then that's obviously a nice like middle point alternative. But yeah, try not to go home for weekends until you have settled in. I've been trying to drum this into my sister's head, trying to make sure that she does not, you know, come home instantly, come home the first weekend. if anything, it just doesn't leave you enough time to make friends, and other people are going to be spending that time making friends and getting close to each other, and if you remove yourself from that situation, you could potentially be preventing yourself from making friends and really getting to know the people around you. So just for those first few weeks, I would definitely say have some sort of a plan that you're maybe not going to go home, or you're just going to meet up for a lunch or a quick walk or something like that. But yeah, have that kind of, a good way to prepare is just to be prepared to not go home for a little bit, or to kind of remove yourself from the university environment for a little while. Yeah, I definitely think that was quite a helpful tip that I heard before I started university. The last question I've been asked quite a lot kind of on open days and the kind of virtual open days and Q&As I've been doing this year for the uni is what preparation you should be doing before you start in terms of your course and your reading and stuff like that. And obviously this will completely differ depending on your course, your university and stuff like that, but ultimately it's not that important in my opinion to do that much prep. I definitely didn't need to, I didn't do any, and I didn't need to have done any either. So yeah, if there's a couple of books that you're interested in, because I've studied politics and international studies, so it's quite a heavy reading based degree to do, and I think, if there's a couple of books that you're interested in, then you could buy them from the kind of reading lists that you might have got given before you start, and that could be a great start. But don't feel like you need to buy all the books. First off, they're really expensive. Second off, you probably won't end up reading them, so just get to university, see what you actually need to do, see what you actually need to read. When you get to university, also, everything is online pretty much, so you could just wait to get these things for free, and that would be really helpful probably. Yes, when you get to uni, everything is online, so probably just a good idea to wait until you get there and you get everything for free. Probably the preferred option. But yeah, it's obviously a great thing to do some prep. I think most people will have naturally done a little bit of preparation. Some of the books you've done over your A-levels, or just interest areas, you might well be doing it subconsciously without even realising you are kind of preparing for university. But yeah, don't feel like you have to. For my course, at least, it was kind of like going in at quite a level playing ground. I did politics A-level, but loads and loads of people that were on the course hadn't, and they kind of just start very basic. We had like an introduction module where everything was explained. It was really like the things that you already kind of know, and kind of just starting to expand your knowledge on those areas, getting you into the habit of the readings each week and the seminars. So yeah, I don't think it's that important to do anything before, because you're probably going to get filled in on what you actually need to be doing and that's actually valuable towards your degree when you actually get to university. So that is what I would probably recommend, but there is absolutely, obviously, never going to be any harm in doing a little bit of reading and looking at something you're interested in before you start, and it might come back to help you down the line. Finally, the last thing I want to kind of touch on when it comes to preparing for going to university is a little bit more mindset based. So I would just say you need to try and prepare yourself to go to university with a very open mind, in terms of what your experience is going to be like, the people you're going to meet, what your accommodation is going to be like, what your course is going to consist of. Just go with an open mind. I definitely didn't really have that many expectations. I didn't really know what it was going to be like. I was just expecting it to be really fun, and that was probably quite a good outlook to start university with. But yeah, just go with an open mind. Be ready to, obviously it completely depends what sort of a person you are, but if you are looking for quite a out there, slightly more extroverted university experience with a lot of going out and being surrounded by a lot of people, then definitely be ready to put yourself out there and be ready to try new things, try new societies. Just put yourself out there as much as you can. In everything, I think university related, you really get out what you put in. I think it's probably the biggest thing I've learned from university. So if you're going to put in the effort, you're going to get a much better experience out of university, and that's in terms of social life and having fun, but also your course. The more you put in, the more you get out. Because this may well be the first time you are experiencing this sort of independence, it's really up to you to create the experience and the university life that you want to. So it is in your hands, basically. So create the experience that you want to have, and put put your effort in, put yourself out there, and just do everything you can to create the best kind of situation for yourself, because for a lot of people, it's the first time you'll be moving to a completely different place with new people. It is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to change things around. You can be whoever you want to be, you can be friends with whoever you want to be, and you can do whatever you want to do. So I would just say seize that opportunity, go with a really open mind, and just try everything. Meet everyone, just enjoy it basically, and go with an open mind and be prepared to have fun, I suppose. Yeah, I will leave this video there now. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this was potentially helpful for some of you. And if you are going to be starting university in the coming weeks, then I wish you the very best of luck, and I hope you have a wonderful time. Thank you for watching.